All right, final thing here, of course, the Texas Bowl. We got a little bit of a preview, but before we get to the preview, just wanted to make this note here in Baton Rouge because Brian Kelly's first LSU coaching staff coming together, and he has hired a familiar face here, offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, who was Cincinnati's offensive coordinator last season. He was a semifinalist for the Frank Broyles Award given to the nation's top assistant coach. So, hey, he comes with a nice reputation. And perhaps even more importantly for LSU fans, this guy has spent 14 seasons working under Brian Kelly. 7 at Notre Dame, 7 at Grand Valley State. And he's coming off one of the best seasons he's ever had as an offensive coordinator, helping Cincinnati to an undefeated record. Now he's going to be LSU's offensive coordinator under Brian Kelly. So, beyond what I just told you, I don't know much about this guy. I'm going to have to do a deep dive on him. But if he's worked with Brian Kelly for, a decade and a half here, you got to believe that given Brian Kelly's background with the offensive side of the football, that this is going to be a quality hire for LSU and someone where, they speak the same language. It's going to be very easy to translate the offense to these players. So, hey, Brian Kelly ain't messing around. He's coming in here year one. And that's another thing that I was told that he was able to pitch to Miles Brennan when he got him to pull his name out of the transfer portal. Just go back and look at Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and Grand Valley. Look at what the players did in the first year under me. I mean, this is not a system where it takes 2 or 3 years for these quarterbacks to get adjusted. They get it year one. They have big seasons year one, and this speaks to it, is where you're going to have to you hire an offensive coordinator that there's going to be no adjustment period. He's going to be ready to go from day one. And that was not the only hire that LSU recently made official. They got a quarterbacks coach too, Joe Sloan, who had been at Louisiana Tech the last 9 seasons as offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and recruiting coordinator. That's key there because Brian Kelly, obviously, with his fake Southern accent down there, not a lot of ties to the region, although Notre Dame's been recruiting Louisiana the last couple of years, so we can't say he's got no ties. But now he's getting a 9-year veteran of the state at Louisiana Tech. They have been known as an offensive program the last several years. So you're bringing in a guy with offensive coordinator experience to be your quarterbacks coach who's got tons and tons of experience in the state. That looks like another solid pickup there for Brian Kelly. All right, so as promised, last SEC bowl game before the national championship is the Texas Bowl. And for some damn reason, they're kicking this thing off at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central on ESPN. LSU, Kansas State. LSU opened as the favorite. This thing has flipped big time. Kansas State, 7-point favorite. The over-under, 47.5 points. And here's a big reason why. Garrett Nussmeier, the will he, won't he play? He ain't playing. The freshman quarterback, LSU tried to fight for the ability to let him play and not burn his red shirt. That was denied. And why that is important, obviously Max Johnson off to A&M. Miles Brennan has been in the portal. He's back, but he's not playing in this football game. LSU, no scholarship quarterbacks for this game. Garrett Nussmeier is the only one left. You can't put in Walker Howard, the freshman he just signed. So they ain't got one. And it sounds like the plan, according to Brody Miller of The Athletic, we're going to play receiver Jontre Kirkland, who in high school played quarterback. He was a very successful high school quarterback. He's been a receiver his entire time at LSU. Maybe they, look for them to take a page out of South Carolina's book and have DeCarrion Joyner out there running a ton of Wildcat and just see what happens. But, man, this is going to be a crazy, crazy game. LSU down to 39 scholarship players, according to Brody Miller. And, of course, it's the interim coach. Brad Davis is the coach here, the offensive line coach. We're down to 2 running backs, freshman Corey Kiner and sophomore Josh Williams. We're down to 1 starter in the secondary, Jay Ward. This is going to be a wild game. And Kansas State, on the flip side, they fired their offensive coordinator right after the season. So, key to this game, aside from LSU finding bodies that are willing to suit up and play in this football game, Stopping Deuce Vaughn. Kansas State running back, outstanding running back, 1,246 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns on the season. Kansas State, they don't have much of a quarterback. Skylar Thompson, 9 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So you got to think this over-under, I understand it being so low with LSU having so many issues on the offensive side of the ball. Kansas State favored by a touchdown. It's all going to come down to stopping this running back, Vaughn, for the LSU Tigers. And here's a key stat, because I know LSU was not great on defense all season long. In fact, in October, dreadful. Allowing 224 rushing yards in the month of October. That is piss poor. That's one of the worst in the country. Yet you turn around in November, last 4 games of the season, LSU averaged 79 rushing yards allowed per game. And you may say, well, hell, would they play a bunch of cupcakes? Alabama. How's that sound as a cupcake? Arkansas. Best Arkansas team maybe in 10 years. ULM, I'll give you that one. Cupcake. Texas A&M. Those are their 4 games they played in November. Allowed only 79 rushing yards to those teams. I know LSU's down some guys, but if they could corral this Vaughn, I think they can win this football game, pull off a stunner. And I'm going to Honda Morristown special, man. I'm not picking against the SEC in the last non-conference matchup of the season. LSU 21, Kansas State 20. The Tigers pull off the upset. There's still some veteran leadership on this team. I'm not about to go and count out the Tigers in the Texas Bowl. A lot of Texas players on this roster too. So there's going to be some pride on the line. Get the hell out of here with Kansas State. This should be a wild game, but I'm taking the Tigers to win by 1. All right, so hey, that's all I got on this episode of the show. So that's all I got on this episode. And if you made it this far, as always, give us that 5-star written review on the Apple Podcasts app, and we'll mail you a beer koozie free of charge. We got all 14 SEC teams represented. Just send those on over to that secpodcast@gmail.com. That email is also in the show notes. If you're like me, you can't write things down quick enough when you hear them over the radio. But we've been on Spotify, but now you can rate the podcast on Spotify. If you give us a 5-star on Spotify, same deal. We'll mail you a beer koozie free of charge. Just again, reach out to us at that secpodcast@gmail.com. But that's going to do it. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out this solo pod. We'll catch y'all on the next one.